everything bad that could happen at an event for an artist alley vendor just happened to me. Hello and welcome to day one of K-Play Fair. Surprisingly, I'm not at an anime convention right now. I am in the K-pop area. Is anyone surprised? I know I am. Typically, I would start this vlog on day 0 of setup. However, I pretty much spent that entire time filming my table tour, very detailed dissection of my display. So if you are interested in that video, I will link it down below when that one goes up. I'm currently vending at K-Play Fest, which is the sister con of Anime Impulse as well as Collectors Expo. This is my first time at this particular location. If you're not familiar, K-Play/Anime Impulse does have a few other locations in the US. The ones that I've been to are LA as well as OC, and this is my first time in the Bay Area for this event. It is currently located at the Santa Clara Convention Center, which is the same location as SJ Made Holiday Fair. You might be familiar with that one if you've seen my Holiday Fair vlogs, but very excited. This is a different change of pace, but curious to see how today goes. In this video, I will be talking about my experience here at K-Play Fest, what I do this K-pop themed event again as a primarily anime artist, and my experience having a self-serve display for the first time. If you're interested in those topics and more, keep on watching. So one of the questions that I'm sure you are probably asking, though maybe you know the answer to it, why am I at the K-Play area instead of Anime Impulse, which is really not that far. It's literally on the other side, just over there. That's Anime Impulse, past the Itasha cars. But in my case, I'm currently in the K-Play area. And really the simple answer is just that I wanted a table in this area. From my understanding with how the different events are situated in the Santa Clara Convention Center, it is similar to SJ Made Holiday Fair. If you've ever been to Holiday Fair or Summer Fair, you know that the hall is completely open and they are all together. There is no divider in between. And so I decided late that I wanted to vend at Anime Impulse. Unfortunately, tables were sold out by the time I was interested, and I thought, well, I don't know if I want to show up because I'm not from the NorCal area. And so there were a few tables open for K-Play. I thought, you know what, I'll just try it. It's not too far from the artist alley for Anime Impulse. Why not? Granted, it is a little bit more affordable compared to Anime Impulse. One of the reasons why is because we are not in pods. As you can see, there is no divider in between each artist alley table in the K-Play area. However, if you look into Anime Impulse, they have little pods, which is quite nice. Makes sense because for us, we did pay $375 for this table space. For them, I believe they paid $400 or $425, so it makes sense for that slight price increase. It is also the first time that this event is at this convention. From my understanding, every year it has been at a different location. Bay Area is still figuring out what works best for them. However, right now it seems like it has been picking up in terms of the crowd because there's been a good amount of people like walking through over there. So I'm assuming that people are starting to enter in. I also will say the reason why I also wanted to come back is because I wanted an excuse to get Izumi Matcha again. As you know, if you've watched my SJ Made event vlogs, whether that's the Holiday Fair or Friend Fest, you know I am the biggest fan of Izumi Matcha. I mean, you know I love matcha in general, but every time I'm in the San Jose area, I have to get Izumi Matcha. So literally got some last night, which is just funny, but I love my creme brulee blended matcha. It's so good. Hello, it is currently 12:07. I will say that in comparison of the K-Play area as well as the Anime Impulse area, it seems as if the Anime Impulse section is a bit more busy, but that also might be because the K-Play area does have a stage. You can see the crowd over there. And most of the people in the K-Play area are actually just watching what's going on stage. There's been some dances. I think that's it so far. So of course people are more occupied there versus in the Impulse area. I believe there are voice actors, but they are more so in that area. So it is separated from Artist Alley, whereas people who are headed towards the Anime Impulse Artist Alley, they are literally there just to shop. So it does look a bit busy. I don't know if there's a lot of shopping involved because a con may be busy, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are spending their money. I am going to check in with a few friends who are vending in that section to see what they think of the event so far. But so far, it feels a little bit more busy than what I expected, honestly. Like, remember, I had very very baseline expectations. For this event, I would be happy if I just made back expenses and then a little bit of profit, honestly. I feel like this year has just made me a bit more pragmatic. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Let me know. So there's a couple of reasons as to why I decided to try out self-serve. One was I got over my fear of theft because I noticed that a lot of friends who used to have menu style switched to self-serve and found success with it. So I decided, you know what, theft is going to be a reality for a lot of retail spaces, and me trying to avoid it isn't going to help anyone. So I might as well switch to self-serve, at least for some of the items. Obviously, I'm not going to do self-serve with Ita bags. Those are too big for me to even consider that. And also I realized that the benefit of self-serve is that it is a lot easier during convention. Granted, it is a lot of work to set up because you have to place stickers in all of the acrylic stands. However, during the convention, you don't even have to look through your bin to find said sticker. The customer will just bring it to you and then you can calculate it based on how many they give you. It also will be a bit of a pain to take down because you're gonna have to put everything back during takedown, but it is what it is. I'd rather save myself time during convention where things can get busy versus wait times being a lot longer because I am trying to find said sticker. I also want to add that this is not necessarily something I would implement at every convention. For some events that might be more likely to experience that, most likely I won't bring it. But in this case, I did want to just try it out, see it for myself. But of course, your risk tolerance may vary depending on how much you care, whether theft will happen, if that will take more of a mental load. Maybe don't have self-serve items. But in my case, now that I kind of got over that fear, it might happen. I mean, I don't know why you would steal a sticker, but okay. So it's a little bit later in the day and it is currently 3:32. I'm cold. It's very chilly in here. I'm not mad about it because I would much rather be very, very cold rather than very, very warm and sweaty, which is probably a good thing because the air conditioning is blasting in here. So if you do attend this type of event in this venue, I do recommend bringing a jacket if you get cold easily. I don't usually get cold easily, but I'm pretty chilly right now. Just looking back on today, now that there's only a couple hours left till con ends, personally, just based off of today, because I don't think tomorrow will be a little bit better, I don't think that the K-Play section is for me personally. It could also be because of my table location. I'm basically facing the walls, so unless you go towards the end of this aisle, you'll probably not see my booth. Lately, I've also been tracking my inventory on my laptop rather than on a notebook as I used to. Gotta do that right now. And with this knowledge, would I consider doing Anime Impulse Bay Area, where it is more geared towards my audience? Perhaps. I do want to see how tomorrow goes, but just based off of today's numbers, Saturday numbers, which if you're familiar with how Artist Alley works, Saturday is usually the most busy for a majority of events because that is when most people have that day off. There might be a few things that contributed to this. One of them being that I am not in the audience that I'm used to. As I mentioned, I primarily sell anime art. I am in the K-pop section. So of course, I'm not going to do as well as if I was in the anime section. Number two, I don't know if I mentioned this previously, but there was an event last weekend called SJ Made Summer Fair. That particular event also occurred in the same convention hall in the Santa Clara Convention Center, and that event is free compared to this one, which does have an attendance fee. Naturally, if you are in this area and you can only go to one event, you probably would have gone to last weekend's SJ Made event. Not to say that there's some people who might not go to both. I'm sure there are a few people who wanted to go to both because there are different vendors. It's a different vibe as well. I would say the SJ Made events, I did clarify it a little bit more in those vlogs, but for those events, it's more crafty, more general interest versus this one, obviously K-pop, anime, collector-centric. But you know, it is what it is. Another one is probably because I'm not in a stamp rally. Perhaps if I had participated in one, maybe people would have known that I am in this section. But honestly, I just was not feeling it. This was a little bit last minute, and I did not feel like organizing a stamp camp rally. But I also figure that with the way the economy is going, there's not as much disposable income for a lot of people, so naturally you're not going to spend as much. So I kind of expected that going in. Another thing that I do really appreciate within the K-Play Fest section is that going into this event and seeing how close I was to the stage, I was very concerned about potential hearing loss, honestly. Hyperbole. But I was afraid that it was going to be too loud, that I would have to yell over the music to hear myself and so my customers can hear me. But I'm really grateful that the stage is actually not too loud personally. Like, I even brought loops earplugs so that it's not too loud and I don't F up my hearing, right? But luckily one of K-Play staff, I don't know if they were volunteer or staff, but I remember yesterday they were doing sound check and they did check in with us asking if the audio was fine. It was a little bit loud earlier on, but they ended up correcting it and now it's bearable. Not too loud, but you can still hear from the stage, so I do appreciate that. Hello, so I'm here with
Henry of Sticker Zoo.
You might know him from his other Artist Alley vlogs. So technically, even though I'm in the K-Play area and my vlog is centered towards K-Play stuff, because my items and I feel like most of the people watching my content are primarily into the anime Artist Alley scene, I wanted to get your opinion on how last year's Anime Impulse Bay area compares to this year. I think you only just did last year, right? Not the one 2 years prior.
I was talking a little bit about it on my vlog as well, because I'm trying to think of any other event where I had such a drastic change. And I've only been doing this for like a little over a year and a half now, so it's kind of hard to really gauge. Obviously, my growth is a little more exponential. But if I was looking at like Anime Las Vegas or AXGB, for example, I've done those twice. And the numbers are like a lot higher, at least 1.5 to 2 times higher than the first year. Even though the economy is like technically on a decline, the people who typically have been saying that are a little more established in the Artist Alley space, their products haven't changed a whole lot. Their catalog hasn't changed a whole lot, whereas I've just got more things, so it'll probably plateau at some point. This con center, like say it was at San Mateo Convention Center again, I still think it would probably be a good bit more. I know it's in like kind of close to the heart of SJ, so a lot more people are here. I think it's a good location switch. I think there are more people than I anticipated, and we are earning more than we did last year, so I would say the switch was good. The aisles are a little closer than they were last year at San Mateo, and there's a lot more people flowing through, especially at peak hours.
From what I'm noticing, let's forget that my stuff is mostly anime centered, but even with the people surrounding me who would be more geared towards K-pop merch, it seems as if the K-pop area or the K-Play Fest area is a little bit less congested, I'd say. I think the primary source of interest in the K-Play Fest area is the stage, where there's a lot of performances going on. There's a lot of, I don't know too much about the K-pop culture, but a lot of things going on in that area. And most people who go there for there. And they just so happen to see some of the Artist Alley booths that are there. There's only 40 of them compared to Anime Impulse, where there's, what, like 100 something?
Yeah.
A good amount more.
At least 150.
And I feel like people who, and I was talking to another person about this, but if you go into Anime Impulse Artist Alley, all there is to do there is shop. So if you're gonna go in this area, you're here to shop, or probably browse, but most likely shop. Versus K-Play, maybe you're not necessarily there to buy something, but if you see something you like, you'll buy it. Currently hanging out at Henry's booth, Mint Green. He's filming something for his vlog. Apparently he's been doing the hourly check-ins, which I can't do that. It's too much work. But yeah, I'm just hanging out in the Impulse area because it's quite nice. I do like the pods. I was just gonna say, like, see, look at Anime Impulse, they have pods. I would like pods. I'm willing to spend more money on pods. So if you are an Artist Alley director, or you are in charge of deciding the layout for Artist Alley, please, I like pods. I like space. I am willing to spend money for space. Thank you. Izumi matcha, Izumi matcha. Curry, 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 curry. Wow. Good morning. It is currently day 2 of K-Play Fest. I keep reverting back to Anime Impulse because that is what I'm used to. It's currently 9:13 and yeah, we just took our jump photos per usual. There's a lot of Atasha cars Basically, this is what divides Anime Impulse Artist Alley and K-Play right now. So looking at yesterday's numbers and assuming how today will go, typically I would assume that for a 2-day event, Sunday would be slightly lower than my Saturday numbers, given that Saturday is the last day. Honestly, as mentioned before, I wouldn't mind coming back to this event, but perhaps in the Anime Impulse Artist Alley side. I don't think that my products perfectly fit the K-pop audience because most of them are anime related, and there are some kawaii OC work, but I think it just fits better in the anime side. That being said, if I do have the opportunity to try out Anime Impulse Bay Area's Artist Alley section, I would. And then from then on, I would configure, like, do I want to do this event again? And technically we're in Santa Clara, but I do like the San Jose area because, one, Izumi Matcha, and there's good food, and a lot of friends vend at this event as well, so it's nice being able to see everyone. Some information about K-Play Bay Area. The Artist Alley is $375, so it is slightly more affordable compared to Anime Impulse's Artist Alley, which is around $400. And the main reason for that is because we have less space. We don't have pods that are specific to us, and you kind of just have to keep within your space. But I do like that there's like a good amount of space in between the tables, so it's not cramped back here. It does come with a 6-foot table and 2 chairs, as well as 2 badges. This year, the other K-Plays are at Los Angeles, OC, Bay Area, and Dallas. So far, of the entire K-Play / Anime Impulse reoccurring events are at the Los Angeles, OC, and Bay Area locations. Dallas, they're still trying out. Usually every year they have 1 or 2 locations that are new just to see how things go. But so far those are the 3 that are the foundation events. So we went to a Japanese supermarket and got all these goodies so we don't hunger during this con. Let me see. This one is my favorite. It's a matcha sandwich, and it's like a matcha biscuit with some cream in the center, and they come individually packaged. Highly recommend. Also, this is one of my favorites during my Japan trip, and they come individually packaged as well, so they don't go stale if you don't finish it. So everything bad that could happen at an event for an Artist Alley vendor just happened to me. TLDR, as you can tell, completely different background change. And that is because I am currently in the Anime Impulse Bay Area Artist Alley section. Why is that? So this morning I did walk around the Artist Alley for Impulse, checking to see if there were any empty tables, just so I can switch to that location. Went over to Impulse staff, asked them if I could purchase this table, and they said, yeah, it's fine, just pay for the table, and then you can move your stuff there. So I thought, okay, bet. Would be a bit of a struggle, especially since there's attendees walking around, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's part of the job. Also, if I'm a little annoyed, my voice might reflect that. Mostly annoyed with myself. But anyway, so we were starting to move things from K-Play to this table. It was fine at first. Like the first couple trips, we're just moving stuff along, moving the suitcases, moving the wagon, only for me to realize I completely forgot that the display, or at least my display, is top heavy. What does that mean? The top part of the display is heavy because of the Ita bags. And I forgot that you need things to weigh down the back. I should have taken off the Ita bags first. I was planning to do so, but I completely forgot to at least add a weight on the back of my display. And basically, it just fell through. I will say I was the only person in front of my display. People were walking around since we did have a wagon in front. I only got lucky because my display was like 3 grid cubes open, so it literally went through me. Definitely learned from that mistake, so no one was hurt. Really grateful for the artists that were around me and even staff that did help just pick things up, because I'm mostly frustrated with myself because I forgot about that. Was in a bit of a stormy mood, to be honest. Like I just needed to be quiet, but basically had to clean up the debris from K-Play, move it over to Impulse. And from there, luckily, Henry was like really helpful with maneuvering everything and just making sure that all the stuff was at this table. I don't even know how long it took to set up the display. Like I just made it very simple at this point. I didn't really want to recreate my more complicated display from K-Play. Like there's only a couple hours left. I don't even know what time it is. Like it's almost 1. So like 5 hours till con. I didn't really expect much. I already covered expenses and a little bit more, so I'm just straight up not having a good time right now. But you know, It is what it is. This is one of the parts of the job. There's going to be highs like record-breaking revenue or getting into your dream con, but there's also going to be some downhills, not having a great time, and today's just one of them. It's like I am just looking forward to Izumi Matcha at this point. I'm just so over it right now, and it's not even on the event. The event's fine. I'm just over it in general. The highs and lows, this is just my low right now. The main reason why, there's two reasons why I switched tables. One of them is that for me, K-Play was not working. And if I'm just gonna keep at it, if there's an available table here, I'm doing a disservice to myself. Granted, I did end up spending a little bit just to get this table as well, but that's part of the job. Hello, quick update. It is now 3:22. Funnily enough, while the Artist Alley section has still been relatively slow for the most part, I would say a bit slower than what I saw yesterday. We are on track to make about the same as yesterday, which is kind of funny because for a good amount of the impulse events, at least in my experience, usually Saturday's more busy. Obviously, it might depending on your table location. Maybe if you're towards the back, you might have a better Sunday versus Saturday because people got to that point. Many factors involved, but in my case, as someone who is in a location where my products are geared more towards the audience, I would say that this is a success. If you didn't know already, I do stream on Twitch. I like to go live every week where I typically work on pin prep for conventions, chatting about Artist Alley and small business things with friends, as well as work on upcoming stamp rally and product designs. If you're interested in those things and more, follow me on Twitch at Mualcaina, and I hope to see you in my next stream. Would I recommend this event for anyone interested in it? It depends on your situation. One, are you local? If you are local to the NorCal area, can keep your costs very, 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 very low, which most of the time that means you're local or you have a place to stay. I would not recommend flying for this event personally, especially for a lot of two-day events. I just don't recommend flying for it. But if you're local, or you can stay at a friend's place, family member's place, have a place to stay where you can keep your cost to just table and maybe your helper, and those are your major expenses, consider trying it out. But I do see a lot of potential with this event. I would give it a few more years or so because I personally enjoy the Impulse events, but Impulse Bay Area is still relatively new, but I do see it growing in the next few years. If you didn't know already, I am also on Patreon. I have different tiers on my Patreon, but for my Biz Buddies tier, I do post reviews that I don't talk about in my vlogs as well as on social media. And in all of the tiers, I do talk about upcoming products, sketches of designs that I've worked on, as well as early access to my YouTube videos. So if you're interested in supporting me on there, I will have it linked down below. So con is officially done. I forgot to do like a typical ending. It is 6:05. We're now cleaning up now just so I can try to make it for Izumi Matcha later because they close at 8 p.m. today. Dinner. Now that you've seen my experience vending at Anime Impulse's Bay Area location, and if you were curious to see my experience vending at their primary location in Los Angeles, watch this video to see my Anime Impulse LA vlog, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!